All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Prepper Talk Radio. We're super excited to be here with you tonight and or this morning or whatever time of the day it is you're listening. We record at night, so that's why I said that. Anyways,
I feel like the Truman Show.
Right.
Good morning, good and if I don't see you, good afternoon, and good night.
And good night.
And good night.
And good night.
Well, either way, welcome to the podcast. We're super excited to be able to share some things with you today. We got a really exciting podcast today. We're excited to share with you how to prepare your kit. What kind of kit? We're going to get into all the kits. Try to talk about as many different types of kits as we can. And so we're going to talk about kids' kits, mom's kits, dad's kits, bug out bags, bug in bags, first aid kits, car kits, whatever it is. So want to just first bring him, do some announcements really fast. Make sure April 22nd and 23rd that you're near or in Sandy, Utah for the Mountain America Expo. Be Prepared Expo. Pardon me, it's the Mountain America Expo Center. And it's the Be Prepared Expo for 2022. We're going to be there. We're going to have a booth. We'd love to see you, meet you, shake your hand, give you a hug, whatever it is. Come by and say hi, and we'd love to hear from you. Also, go to our website, peppertalkradio.com, and there's a tab at the top that says resources. And that resources, you put your email in there, and then you can download a bunch of free stuff. And most of the information we're going to be talking today on this podcast about is in those free kit lists. So if you want to follow along, make sure that you're in that preppertalkradio.com and resources, downloads, and you're ready to go with us. So join our socials. We've had a lot of people join our Facebook group, and we're really looking forward to having more people. We've got a lot of great conversations going in there, people asking some really good questions. So super excited to share all that stuff with you guys. So here we are, another day, another fantastic day in the life of a prepper. How you guys feeling?
Really good. Had a long day today. I was up at 4:30, drove about 400 miles. No, more than that, 400 plus.
You're lucky.
So I'm
That's
good.
horrible. I bet you took your road kit with you, at least that, and your car kit, your extra road kit, your get home bag.
Get home bag. Absolutely. I mean, yeah.
Your extra tools.
I would actually be a little embarrassed to tell you how much stuff I took with me. But, I got a big truck. I got the whole bed. I got a tonneau cover. I got the back seat. Just load it up. That's the way I think, right? I mean, I've got all this space. Why not? And I think about all these people with empty trunks, right? Okay, yes, you add a little weight, you're going to lose some gas mileage, right? Who cares?
Negligible.
Very little price compared to what it can save you. And I did a little post the other day on Prepper Talk Radio, just a spare tire, right? Because it came across a young lady who she drove into this parking lot off the freeway and slow speed, her tire is obviously torn up, and we get over to help her and look in her truck. No spare tire, no jack, no nothing, So she had purchased a used car and never checked for the spare or any of the tools. So she was, up a creek and with me in my truck, I have a tall bottle jack, won't fit under the car. It's just not going to work. So then, she had to call her expensive tow and expensive tire and all this stuff. So be prepared. I want to say it's easy to do. It's easy for me to do, it's second nature, right?
It's simple, not always easy.
Simple.
So
yes.
Funny story, when I bought you remember my Dodge Ram, my big diesel.
Yep.
When I bought that, I couldn't find the jack for it. I'm like, this is stupid. This truck doesn't have a jack. And it was lifted. So I bought this big old jack, put it in there. And I don't know how I found it, but my buddy John, I was giving him, we were driving around up in the mountains of Idaho, and he's hopping out and he goes, man, I love these trucks. Like, they're so clever. They have the jack under the front seat. And I'm like, what? Under the front seat? And I'm like,
no wonder I couldn't find it.
Like a dummy, I didn't have a book for it when I bought it because it was used. But like a dummy, I didn't go get one. And I always have one for my cars. And so I'm looking, and I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, I used to have one of these. And I'm like, show me. And we pull this all. I'm like, it's a bottle jack with a big arm. And
So what you're saying is
it was everything I needed. Yeah.
Practice.
When you get a new car, go through and check everything. Double check to see if you have it. Download the manual online if you have to start. Get what you need.
Get familiar with it.
Because if you're not familiar with it, you can't expect anyone else to be when you're in a disaster situation.
Well, I think that
Like,
fits perfectly with the prepper mantra. One is none and two is one. So you have two jacks. So you
Yeah,
have one jack.
and
And now you're jacked.
I was super jacked with my other one. It was
What?
my big one. Oh, but yeah, that's the hard lessons to learn, right? When you're not prepared for something, or when you don't pay attention to something, those are the hardest lessons to learn. If you are prepared for something, what's funny is you don't remember those experiences as much because there was no stress or trauma because you were prepared.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I try to
Here's
not.
back.
I was going to say, if
Go
I
ahead,
drive
Barry, sorry.
anywhere, if I drive anywhere where I'm, we're going to talk all over each other today. If I
Oh, yeah.
drive anywhere that I can't walk home in an hour or two, I take my pack, I get my bag, and I make sure that I have some tools and some things that I need to get home. Cause I don't know, I want to make sure I have better shoes. We're going to talk a little bit more about what's good, what to go in those things, but those are definitely some mental things that I don't care how much gas mileage it may end up costing me to have a little bit of extra stuff in there to be ready, but it's so worth it. So that's what I do.
What I was going to say is that, what kits are, is it's just really just organization, right? Just planning. It's, we can call it prepping, right? But it's something I guarantee your wife does every day, when she takes the kids with her, right? She's, like you say, all the time, Scott, the mom is the first prepper with her diaper bag, right? And so it's really no different. Like say, Paris, I'm the same way. When my kids are going out, they're going, some of them drive, I say, okay, be ready, be prepared. Or if we go on a long trip, be prepared to walk home. They think I'm ridiculous, but I'm like, seriously, have the right shoes, have the right things with you, that if we have to walk back home, maybe it might be a couple 100 miles. So we got to prepare accordingly. So
we've had that discussion a number of times back when we were on air. Like, you'd bust my chops because I've got flip-flops on.
Yes, I would.
What are you doing? And I'm all, I try to walk around barefoot as much as possible, just to train my feet. But I always have a pair of shoes in the car, just no matter what. Like, sometimes I'm wearing boots, but sometimes I'm wearing flip-flops, and sometimes I'm wearing some sketchy shoes, just depends. But I've always got an extra pair in the car because, I'm not going to walk home in flip-flops if it's greater than a half-hour walk. Like, that's why I bring socks and shoes. Like, that's why kids have things in them.
And that's something I learned from you, Scott, is that I also read a book called Born to Run, right? Which is, it's a great book, especially, even from the survival standpoint, is we're meant to walk, we're meant to run. Our bodies are made for that, but you got to train it. Like you're saying, walk around without your shoes on, toughen up your feet, toughen up those muscles. You got all those muscles have to be trained. And, I tried to do a 50 miler, couldn't do it, just walking, I couldn't do it. My feet locked up and I couldn't do it. So it's a lot more, there's a lot more preparation into getting home, with that get home bag. And that taught me a lot as well. Like, okay, I need to prepare for more than, I was thinking, I can be home in 24 hours. If I'm 50 miles away, I can be home in 24 hours. Nope, can't do it. So I got to plan for more time, which means I need more supplies. I need more food and more water, shelter and so forth. So
and you don't learn those things until you actually have an experience or you go through that and you practice.
Exactly.
And that's part of the reason why we're going to talk about some things to get, put into the kit. We're going to talk about gear in a little bit tonight, but the reality is that if you don't know how to use that gear, you might have the best first aid kit in the world, but if you don't have a clue how to use it, it doesn't do you any good. And same with any of the other kits we're going to talk about. So it's important that when you do get a kit, whatever kit you end up doing, whatever list you download, or if you take a bunch of lists and kind of figure out what you want to do, make sure that you're practicing with those tools, with those items, so that you know how to use them when the time comes, and already ahead of time. And so, I feel like there, going back to being barefoot, there's some health benefits to being barefoot, grounding and things like that. It's really, really powerful stuff. But we're going to jump into the kits now. What do you guys want to start with? You guys want to start with a bug in, bug out? You want to start with cars?
Yeah, I think a general purpose, like Scott says, 96-hour type kit, which is what most people are familiar with. They'll go buy the 72-hour kit off the shelf, right? Which we don't encourage. We say, build your own, go for 96 hours, use quality components, which we can talk, in detail about a lot of those things that I put in mine, that you guys have put in yours, that are not just the one-time use, type of equipment.
Exactly. I think that's why, like, if you go to the resources page of the website, preppertalkradio.com/resources, we've got all these downloadables in that section, but like, it's also got links to books. And books are great because it gives you education. And if you know how to do something, you need less tools, right? The more skilled you get and more knowledgeable you get, the less things you might need. Like if you look at like a wilderness survival expert, one might be able to go out into the woods with a pair of wool socks and a pocket knife and be happy. Another one could run out naked and dominate the world, right? And then there's us that's like, I need a backpack and I need a water purification. Like we get a little carried away sometimes because we're so used to all the conveniences and the modern items of life, right? We forget about the skills and things like that. So our first list that we created is really the most basic, dumbed down 96-hour checklist you can do. Yes, sir.
I was just going to say that kind of along those lines is that the more of a beginner you are in this preparing your kits, the more stuff you'll have. The more advanced you are in your preparedness and your readiness, I think the smaller the kit you'll have. So this is kind of a good starter. What we're going to talk about is for somebody who's kind of just more starting out, getting prepared, getting ready. And then you can, pick and choose and whittle it down from there once you get a little more skill sets.
Well, and also adding more. Like the other part of it is like when you have different skill sets, you'll add things that you can use. Like, for example, if you're really awesome with first aid, you'll probably have a much more robust, trauma kit and first aid kit, because you're going to be the guy that pulls over, the lady that pulls over to help with an accident before the first responders can get there. Yep. Right. Or, if you have a truck and you've got space for tools, you might carry an extra shovel or a pickaxe. Like you might carry a bunch of different other things, rope, rigging. Like my brother always carried 2 to 3 sets of rigging tools.
Well, he's like the rigging master.
And he's like legit one of the best guys I've ever met when it comes to rigging ropes, rescue. Like he's a firefighter, but he's also an emergency response technician / what do you call those guys? The ones that go out search and rescue, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But he also would build professionally. He would build rigging systems with cables across canyons, and people would rope swing like 400 feet off the pivot point. Like, yeah, he's even gone spelunking. I can't tell you whose ranch it was, but they went spelunking and he was taking family members down into this place that no one's been for hundreds of years. And I wish I could see the pictures, but he's under an NDA. He's not allowed to disclose that stuff. So it's like, whoa, like he's my ropes guy and rigging guy. Like, and he always had extra stuff. Why? Because he could use it. It was stuff he could use. Like he'd be on his way somewhere and all of a sudden get a call. Hey, so-and-so, if anyone's in this area, we need to go help with a rescue of this type of situation. Someone's car is upside down in the creek over here. Let's go help. And he's like, oh, I'm 5 minutes away. And he doesn't have to go home and get anything. It's just always in his car.
He's got enough knowledge and experience to know exactly what he needs for those activities. Yeah.
And so each of us has different skill sets. Like, okay, if we've got something and we're capable to do it, and maybe we've got the space, that's something we could consider adding.
Yeah.
Like I always have 2 to 3 first aid kits in my car, basic, trauma, and advanced trauma. Like that's just how I've been for years. Even though I don't know how to use everything in there, I know how to use most of it. And I'd rather have it than not. And it's not hurting my space in the vehicle.
Yeah. So for a basic, call it 72 hour, 96-hour kit, where would you start, Scott?
Well, ideally we'd kind of go through the emergency rule of 3, but I would take a step back and say, okay, it's an emergency kit. First things first, what are the most likely scenarios that I'm going to face in most emergencies? It's either going to be a car accident, a tire gone flat, the car breaking down, maybe debit cards not working. So I try to think of those things first. And so like having extra ID, having extra medications, having extra, documentation and cash, right? Cash on hand, so that if you need to be able to use something, you've got it. Because those are the most common things that I come across personally. Yeah, so then I look at my survival rules of like, I need my water, or I need my first aid, my shelter, my water, my food. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And that's kind of where a 72-hour, those off the shelf 72-hour kits start, right? They start with your shelter, your water, your food, right? Those are kind of the basics. But they obviously do it very poorly, and they don't do it